absolutely undo it all. Camping Pirate, thank you so much for following along on the old tickers of Tox. Yes, I'm live on that. We'll see if anyone uses it, but I've got chats open. Thank you so much to Game Wizard 001 who's subbed for 32 months in a freaking row. What's really cool about this is Aaron is a Geek Bomb Book Club member, so I get to say, hey Aaron, thank you so much for subbing for 32 months. And then Aaron gets to say,
hey, you're welcome.
well, actually, he could say whatever the hell he wanted because he's got the power to do so. But
I do. So much power.
Power! I like to grant power. Toaster Poster has subscribed for 20 months on a 20-month streak as well. And they say, hi, Maude. Hi, chat. Books. Well, at least I hope that's how they say it. I took liberty there. Avery has used their Prime, yay, Bezos, for 13 months. Avery is also a book club member, so I get to say, hey, Avery, happy Baker's Dozen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I really should have asked at least a question so you didn't have to figure out how to answer that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, whoa.
Yeah.
30 months.
And I was like, you can say anything. And you're like, that is very overwhelming. So, yay. Also, the members have access to a really cool Google Doc that we're going to be bringing back, which means that I need to do more prep, which is great. But we're going to be making articles out of these. So any future book club that covers this book, we will have a nifty little guideline of some of the questions we thought were appropriate to bring up. And of course, this is a free-range discussion. So if there is anything else that was a really cool topic of conversation, we're going to add it into the doc as well. So far, we've got about 9 talking points, 2 hours to get through it all. Themes, characters, quotes, moments. This book, I like to go around to everyone, chat, members, you name it. Was this book good? What was your final rating out of 5 books? Shout out to user 1197239. I can't believe I said that easily. Hey, Maud, what's up? I don't know what that means, what you said at the end, so I won't read it. But what up? What up? Was book good? Out of 5, I gave it a 5. Who's with me? No, you haven't finished the book yet, Tim. Puts his hand up in the video chat. You got like 15 more pages.
Yeah, definite 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, Snake, tell me why. What you love about it?
Well, I mean, just the series as a whole, love the shit out of it. But this book in particular, I love the fact that it broadens the scope of the conflict so much, as well as just really where the first book started to dig its claws in, this is where it cements its grip, just fully, just heart-wrenching, gut punch, just the most murderous.
Oh, we lost you. We lost you.
No, I lost my train of thought. Oh. It's the most like, it's just a thrill ride of joy, sorrow, hatred, fury, and love. Wow. And it's kind of all over the place. It just grabs you by the throat and says, hey, keep watching.
Yeah. It's not gentle. I mean, it was quite abrupt reading the first book where you're like, oh my goodness, they're killing the children. And then now you're just like, oh, this is war. This is war. We introduce 2 new characters. We say goodbye to some as well. A lot happens. It is gripping the entire way through. There is no filler. It is all killer. Definitely pun intended. Let's read out some of the comments. Lisa's saying 5 out of 5. Terry is saying 5 out of 5. KPDubbs says 4.5 out of 5. Peastry says bloody damn brilliant. 5. Aaron's given it a 5. Vaden gave it a 4. Darren's given it a 4. Robin's given it a 5. K Frito's given it a 5. Chuck rules. Dubs. Is that for Overwatch? Because I play that too. First time chatter says 5 out of 5. I'd love to know why you gave it a 5 out of 5. Kate gives it a 4. Black Belt gives it a 5. Lisa says it's got everything and punches you in the gut in the end. I know. Oh, we've lost Tim. I think he has to leave because. Can he hear
I
us?
give it 4 out
No.
of 5 to say.
You gave it a 4? So for those that don't know, the members are all in the Discord, and some of them have their videos on. And Tim basically started the videos on campaign, and I've got a video in there as well. So it's like I can see their reactions and their responses. Tim. Okay, great. He's deafened us. Tim has no idea that the last 4 or 5 pages of this book will fucking destroy him, and we are going to be watching as it unfolds. Do I want a little Tim window, my Timdo in the corner here as it happens? Maybe. Can we do that? I think I need to ask his permission, but I don't want to unmute him and I don't want to make it obvious because it's like the end of Empire where you're like, yeah, it's his dad. It's his dad. It has been the whole time. I can't believe you didn't know. It's his father. But yeah, Tim's going to enjoy this one. The Timdo. Yeah. He's got no idea.
We're just going to watch a man's heart break live on the internet.
Yeah, you can see the exact moment that it happens. Aaron's got the popcorn out. This is a lot of fun. All right, I want to go into a little bit more detail. Before that happens, though, members, we've opened up something really, really cool. Previously, I've liked to give applause to different people and conversations, and if you make a good point, I make puns. I'm nauseating on a good day. If you're on your PC and you're in a browser and you go down to the bottom, there is a little box with a music note in it. Should you wish, there are Discord sounds in here. So when I say, everyone give this person an applause, the applause will come through. Now, if you're listening to this on Twitch, can you comment to see if these work or not? If I do, there you go, Snake, very well done. Now, if I do, if I do a bad
that is the
pun,
only time I will ever do that.
I reckon you got another one in you. We used to have the fail flute, but that's always good. So you guys have control over those sounds. If you're followers of other Discord groups, maybe they'll have different sounds in there as well. Like
Execute Order 66.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, this is fun. Okay. But, do it, time it well. With great power does come great responsibility. But that could be a lot of fun as we all contribute to the conversation. A big shout out to Be Right UK. They have subbed for 17 months on a 17-month streak. Said, hey, Maude, guess what? Be right back. Wait. Be right back. We like that. We should ask Tim to record himself as his soul is destroyed. We all get to witness it in live time. That's a lot of fun. So I'm seeing all 4s to 5s. Nothing under a 4 here. To Kate and to Darren. Darren, when are we going to get you into the show? To Kate and to Vaden, and Jimmy, you said you gave it a 4? I'd be really interested to know what that mark taken off was about. Who wants to? Yeah.
Yes.
To get into that.
I gave it a 4 out of 5 because, after we were done reading the half, like from the previous week, my uncle had passed. So I was like, I'm just gonna go full into this book and I'm gonna finish it. I even wrote it in the chat. I was like, I'm just gonna finish this because I'm taking the day off, and I was just like really getting involved in it. It was really getting ramped up, and I was like getting like super excited. I was like, yeah, you tell him, Mustang, you leave, and I was like, she's gonna start her own clan and take it over, and then the ending happened, and I was just like, what the F, dude?
Yeah, this book's not a hug.
It was like a big slap in the face.
Yeah. If you were seeking comfort, I don't think this was the book for that to happen. Very brave.
True.
Very brave of you. So the book was punished because of the timing.
I guess so. I told you I'm an emotional reader. I've mentioned that before.
You have. Kate, what's your reasoning for the 4?
Well, I was kind of waffling between 4 and 5, so it might end up changing to 5, like just depending on how I'm feeling, because I'm also very mood based in things where it's just like I don't have a favorite book because it's like, how am I feeling that day? I have to have like a stable of favorite things that I can pick from depending on my mood.
Agreed.
And I would say it wasn't because of the end. I loved the end because I like stuff like that. But I'd say the down compared to the highs of the book, like with the whole ending and that one battle in the first part at the dinner, I found the lower part seemed lower or something. I don't know. So maybe that's why I gave it a 4. But I still really, really, really liked it. And I felt it didn't have, because I know that this series is kind of like the Mistborn ones where it's got like trilogies kind of stuck together, although there's less time between the trilogies in this one than there is in like the Mistborn ones.
Yes.
But this one didn't have second book syndrome to me.
No.
Like it felt like a very standalone book on its own. This one was just like this series, Empire Strikes Back.
I agree with you completely. So many series will suffer from second book fatigue, second book syndrome, where essentially the author really fleshed out the first book, and when they were asked, or when it was an offer or an idea to make it into a trilogy, the second book then becomes the crutch to support the finale. We've kind of recently saw it with Fevered Star down here. No shame, still a great book. World building's spectacular. Love the magic system. Well, it's not really a system. We covered it last month, but it just didn't have the momentum, I guess. And
Tim is touching his mouth.
Oh no, really? Oh yeah, I see it. Poor thing.
He's shaking his head earlier.
Oh really? Okay, definitely keep me posted on that because I often look in the camera.
Put up a beard stroking counter.
He is also listening to a baseball game, so it could just be that.
Oh, come on. Really? This is not the time for baseball. Good Lord. Shout out
Tim's
to
not
Keegan.
allowed to have
dream there, Ken. Just let us dream.
Tim's not allowed to what?
He's not allowed to have secrets.
Yeah, no secrets here. Absolutely not. Keegan, thank you so much for commenting over on TikTok saying my favorite series. I thought it was ever. I was gonna misquote you. Got excited. My favorite series. Miss the SourceFed days. War Chief says, "Oh my God, it's more from SourceFed." I really needed to do another job after SourceFed, didn't I? That was 6 years ago, and I'm still more from SourceFed. That's fine. That's fine if they paid me more. Hey, Aaron says, even though I know there are more books after 3, this did feel like a build-up and finale of Act 2 leading into the big Act 3. Yes, and it had so much the whole way. Act 1 had a huge thing happen. You know, we saw Darrow experience failure for the first time. Literally the golden sun, the guy where everything he touched turned to gold. It was just so easy going into the Institute. It was so easy passing all the tests. I only got 1 grade wrong. He failed. And we're seeing this dynamic with him. Yeah.
And I was going to say, if the first book was like akin to Hunger Games because it's like all the kids in one thing doing basically their death game.
Yeah.
This one feels more like Spartacus, where he's like the slave turned general, like, you know, the gladiator, you know, basically rising up high through the ranks to basically eventually bring down the system, bring down Rome.
Breaker of chains.
Except he goes the way of Spartacus, where he's betrayed. Now he's getting crucified, basically.
Yes. Pages left. I was not finishing it before the stream. I have accepted the spoilers, though. The video and audio contrasts are in Discord. Oh, I don't do it there. See that right next to it to the right a little bit, KPDubbs, on your screenshot? Yes, there's one there. But yes, it's over in the video as well. Sorry, that's a Discord thing. If you want to join the Discord, head on over. Oh, it's a Discord thing, my bad. Yes, only people that get to call see it. Yes, sorry, that's show chat for you. We just had a follow. Thank you, Comet, for the follow. We are chatting about Golden Sun, Book 2 of the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. Thank you, My Game's Laggin', 10 minutes ago. My Game's Laggin'. That's a great name. So what is Golden Sun by Pierce? Let's start there. So far, we've weighed in and we're getting 3 4s and the rest are 5 out of 5. Would we say that this is scoring better than Project Hail Mary and or House in the Cerulean Sea, last year's biggest books that got the most love?
I'd say no for Project Hail Mary because those were emphatic 5s. Like if there was a scale, like
they were 6s.
If there could go above 5,
yeah.
Project Hail Mary, like, because I think everyone was like, no question, 5 would score more if I could.
Yeah, true. So House in the Cerulean Sea, I mean, they're so different. I mean, I left a 1-word review on Goodreads, so I wouldn't spoil anything, and I will go back, but all I wrote was, fuck. I think that says everything.
Yeah, my review of it was, I'm tired of these motherfucking traders and these motherfucking spaceships.
Yep.
How apropos for the current novel, though.
Oh dear. Okay. Ugh. So it's doing if it's not silver then bronze. Even though bronze is a real big insult in this universe. Golden Sun. Yeah.
The biggest bronzy of them all rose to the office of Rage Knight, so.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. Golden Sun is a 2015 science fiction novel by American author Pierce Brown, the second in his Red Rising trilogy. We're up to 6 now. Comes out in a month. The sequel to 2014's Red Rising, Golden Sun continues to follow lowborn Darrow's plan to destroy the society from within. It debuted at number 6 on the New York Times bestseller list, and it won the 2015 Goodreads Choice Awards for Science Fiction. Golden Sun is followed by the 3rd novel in the series, Morning Star, which was published in February 2016. 2014, 15, 16. This thing had a run. No waiting over here. In the first 3. So what happens in this book? As a Red, Darrow grew up working the mines deep beneath the surface of Mars, enduring backbreaking labor while dreaming of a better future he was building for his descendants. But the society he faithfully served was built on lies. Darrow's kind have been betrayed and denied by their elitist masters, the Golds, and their only path to liberation is revolution. And so Darrow sacrifices himself in the name of the greater good. Lisa, every time. Sorry, it's our thing. In the greater good. She's probably like, I'm cooking food, Maude. Shut up.
The greater good.
I'll take it.
Look, every time you do it, I'm not on the screen for me to click to unmute myself. Like, tap, tap, tap all over my screen trying to get it. But the greater good.
Yay, thank you. For which EO, his true love and inspiration, laid down her own life. He becomes a Gold, infiltrating their privileged realm so that he can destroy it from within. I'm taking this from Goodreads, by the way. A lamb among wolves in a cruel world, Darrow finds friendship, respect, and even love, but also the wrath of powerful rivals. To wage and win the war that will change humankind's destiny, Darrow must confront the treachery arrayed against him, overcome his all-too-human desire for retribution, and strive not for violent revolt, but a hopeful rebirth. Though the road ahead is fraught with danger and deceit, Darrow must choose to follow EO's principles of love and justice to free his people. I don't know about a lamb, says Avery. Darrow is pretty vicious. Yeah, the dude made a name for himself in part 1 of the book, which, part 1 and 2, when Mustang kidnaps Lysander, the sovereign's only grandson, and he's like, they don't know that I'm not going to kill this child, but no, but I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to kill a kid, but they don't know that. They think that I'm very capable of doing that, and it is that lie, that fear, that is getting me there. He isn't called the Reaper because he cuts wheat, says Vaden. His bloody name's the Reaper. Reaper. Good character on Overwatch as well. We are talking mainly about the second half of the book, only because last week we addressed parts 1 and part 2, the first half of the book. Now, a lot happens. A lot happens. We have seen the fact that we've seen Lorn and Darrow's relationship unfold. We see Sevro's relationship unfold. We learn who Fitchner is in terms of the grander scheme of things. We see the Jackal fly conveniently under the radar. Just a Tim check-in.
Fuck this book.
Fuck this book. Where are you up to?
I finished it. You didn't see me toss halfway across my room just now?
Oh, you threw it.
I was like, nope, I'm out.
Go on. What did you think about the last couple of pages, Timbo? Oh, he needs a second.
I don't want to talk about it.
He needs a second. I will show you the face he's making right now.
I had a feeling, like I knew early in the book that Roque was going to betray Darrow somehow, but not to that extent.
Fuck Roque.
But I guess I kind of figured it had to be after the whole Pliny episode.
Yep.
Because I originally thought that Roque would align with Pliny to ruin Darrow, and then Pliny was killed, so I was like, well, he can't do that now.
They're all killed.
So yeah,
Oh, KPDubbs. Hold on. Wait, I have to say this. This is way too good. Darrow was stuck between a rope
damn it, KP.
and a hard place. Yeah, okay, well I think that was
I will admit, I'm assuming everybody here's finished the book, so I will admit I thought it was Mustang's head in the box.
I thought it was his mother's.
That was my second thought.
Yeah, I
thought it was Mustang, and then I thought it was Mom.
Oh,
if they killed his mom, I would have
happy.
stabbed somebody.
I'm not happy with the way this book ended. That's all I'm gonna say.
We
basically
knew
pulled
it
a
would
Julius
hit
Caesar
hard.
on him.
Yeah, we knew it would hit hard, but to see it, I mean,
Which is ironic, considering during the parade thing, Roque leaned over to Darrow and said, "You're only mortal," which is what conquering Caesars had when they rolled into Rome after winning a battle.
Gonna have to ask Pierce next week if he pulled the 7 for the inspiration for that part.
Oh.
And kind of a weird twist on the concept, like pulled a crossing the Rubicon thing, where it's like all armies coming back to Rome need to disperse, all weapons laid down, but he gave a weapon to an Obsidian.
Yeah.
It's basically like giving that signal of like, I am arming as many as I can to join me.
I mean, I will say something about Pierce's writing that I think is very clever. There's a lot of things. I think his similes are some of the best I've read. They're so well done. One of them was like bleeding like a whale that had been harpooned. It was just, it's so visceral. Like your eyes are feasting on what he's describing, which is so well done. But the big thing that I noticed here is that he is telling us, we are getting so many warnings. Mustang, 4 separate times. Do not trust my brother. Do not trust the Jackal. You have me, so you don't need him. Don't be nice to him. Wrap up your meetings. You don't need him. He will hurt you. The Telemanuses, I don't trust him. We got him banished, but he's all of a sudden conveniently back. Yes, they had like a personal dispute in it, but do not trust the Jackal. Do not trust. This message of lack of trust has been throughout the entire book with this character. And I feel like with Roque, the same thing. Make amends. Roque's getting more distant. Roque's getting the shits. Roque's getting cut off. Roque's not being able to finish his sentence. Roque is feeling left out. Roque is noticing this distance. Make amends. I will. I'll get to it. And it's like, we didn't want to believe what was laid out in front of us. It was all there. So it's like the fact that it happened shouldn't have surprised us. I truly do believe that us as the reader did not want the betrayal to come from Roque. We didn't want that. And so it wasn't just that Darrow felt the depth of that. We as the reader, it's like, it wasn't a surprise. We were told. We were there. Go Snake.
If I may make an observation.
Yeah.
foreshadowing in this series is one of Pierce Brown's greatest strengths. Fitchner, if I may reveal, Fitchner being Aries is based on earlier conversations in regards to Dancer's initial radicalization and bringing of Darrow into the fold of the Sons of Aries, talking about how Mars is the bastardization, the Roman bastardization of the Greek war god Ares, the brutal, bloodthirsty murder machine. Proctor Mars, Fitchner being Ares, pretty well foreshadowed in that aspect. Also,
It was on
another
the
instance. Besides the betrayals, another instance of foreshadowing is, again, throughout the earlier chapters of the book, we never see Darrow fight with a razor up until his duel with Cassius, but up until that point, when he's assaulted in the gardens at the academy, like pre-celebration, he's looking for his razor when all of his things have been taken by Karnas and his lackeys. When the Jackal suggests, like, hey, we should get you a razor fighting instructor, Darrow says, I know what I'm doing. And he's like, oh, you don't have to be showboaty about it. Like, you don't have to pretend. We know you're a hayseed. We know that you were broke as shit growing up and you couldn't afford it. I have money. I can front the cost for you. And he's like, don't need it. So it is there are many aspects of the story telegraphed to you well ahead of time, and upon multiple revisits to the same book, you see just the masterful use of foreshadowing that Pierce executes throughout the entire series. It's
I dedicated a tab color.
Domino after domino after domino.
I dedicated a tab color to foreshadowing because there was so much of it. Yeah, it's like right there. It's so wonderful to read twice. Let me just say that. Like, it's the first one's like, and the second one's like, like, it's what a joy. But like, to want to
as a fourth time read through.
Ooh, still getting things.
I'm still the amount of direct callbacks and comparisons, and even just characters making reference to Milton's Paradise Lost. Ridiculous. Like the Jackal directly directly quoted, like, is it better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven?
I've got it in the documents. The moment, the true poetic demise of the Jackal. Then farewell hope, and with hope farewell fear, farewell remorse. All good to me is lost. He whispered to some distant fading part of himself as he lazily lifts the scorcher to his father's forehead. Evil be thou my good. Boom. Beautiful. But I'm pretty sure that was Paradise Lost. Quoting Lucifer. Like, at that moment, he's become the fallen angel.
I also
with the rejection of the father as well.
Oh.
Another, like, Augustus viewing himself as the guiding hand of humanity. The god. The true, the true force behind all human endeavor. When the Jackal says, "Hey, remember how it's like? Did you know that I'm the one that murdered my eldest brother, your favored son?" And he was like, "With your money." But then Augustus's reaction is very much like Cedric's father at the end of the Triwizard Tournament. You murdered my son.
Oh,
it's so good. The wrath that is evoked in the dialogue of this book is just,
it's deeply personal. I do. Peace says, I've read it 7 times and I still pick up things. Vaden says, Pierce also described one of the enemies, I think it was during the war, as a sort of Miltonian angel. Yes, as he's falling and captured with the sunlight behind him, immortalized because he was falling, dying, wasn't it? I think that was it.
They were falling through the atmosphere, so the ablative coating at the exterior of the star shell meant to basically dissipate heat away from the suit to keep the operator alive during the descent. As that's flaking away, he compares it to like the ashen feathers of Lucifer burning away from his wings as he is cast out of heaven. And then even Daxo. See, Daxo has tattoos of angels arrayed around the crown of his head. And my question for Pierce next week, or at least one of the like dozen that I've posted in the in the document,
Welcome to Snake's
is
Book Club.
yeah, sorry. I am, if you couldn't tell, I am die hard. For 5 years, I have just been chewing through this entire series over and over and over and over again, just eating it up. But Daxo, like, my question is, what is the significance and the depiction? Like, we're never really given more detail besides the fact that, oh, he's got golden angels tattooed into his scalp. So it's like, is that a depiction of the war in heaven between Lucifer rebelling against his father God?
Out of all the questions, that's what you want, that one.
I mean, it's the biggest one for me.
I got
second
one.
Biggest is.
Okay.
You go ahead.
No, you said second biggest.
I've talked enough.
Said second biggest already.
All right. Second biggest would be would Lorn, if he had survived, learning the truth of Darrow's heritage, would he have sided with the Rising, or would he have turned back to Octavia?
I mean, I think he would have, if he could, would still try to not be a part of it. Good luck, boyo. Like, actually, that's Fitchner saying boyo, but he'd be like, good luck in another life. He kind of just has subscribed to the fact that in this life, if it coulda, shoulda, woulda. But you're right, that is a big bit of information. Something that we didn't quite see from Roque, the elitist little pig. And that was, you know, Roque very much disowning his friend and siding with the Jackal instead, because, like, ew, Reds. We don't do Reds around here. We're Golds. I think I would ask, because there was a bit of a cliffhanger, and maybe we get this, so I'll run it by you first. Why was Roque in Mars? Do we find that out? Because he got conveniently cut off by Sevro when he had that.
Are you asking me directly?
Do we learn that?
It is an aspect of his character that is explored in the next book.
He's a little bitch,
I was gonna say, it's got to be in the next book.
I nearly said something so much worse than that.
It has to do with hidden currents that lie simmering below the surface.
I really want to say this word, so I'm going to write it in show chat only. He's good.
I did want to point out an observation while you're doing that.
Yes.
You mentioned with, like, Darrow being told repeatedly about the Jackal, like, you know, don't trust him, don't trust him, don't trust him. He doesn't trust him, but he's so arrogant that he thinks, oh, I can still use him. I'll be fine. You know, our interests align. It's not that he trusted him. He's just too arrogant to think that he wouldn't get burned.
I don't think it's arrogance. I think it's naivety. When you look back at...
A little column A, a little column B on that one.
He doesn't have enough lived experience being around Golds. He doesn't know how low they're willing to go. He doesn't really understand. His community, like, the reason why the Reds want to rise, and it could be no other color but the Reds, is because they have community. They have family. They have camaraderie and trust, and they... You know, yes, they follow blindly, but they don't know any better. But there's something about that that really enriches the soul. And studies have shown with the, I just read Sapiens by, was it Yuval Harari? Oh, so good. Yes, there's differences in the biochemistry in your brain. If you are, you know, have been dealt a hard hand, maybe you lost a leg in a car accident, you've got no money, you will inherently be happier if you have good family around you than if you win the lotto but you feel alone. So take that essence of the Reds, and that's what Darrow has lived and breathed and always known. So when you go to the Golds and someone like the Jackal is playing a long game, he started at 10 years of age to bring his father down because of something that happened to him when he was a baby. Like, these guys, there's nothing that they won't do, which is why Mustang's so important to him, because she's got this essence of good. She did kidnap a kid. Like, she's got the ability to kind of play the game. She's willing to kind of like infiltrate and make Cassian fall in love with her so that she can get in with the Bologna family doing her thing to protect her father. But the cruelty that Jackal has and that the golds are capable of, that's where I think Darrow's weakness truly has been, which is why he ended up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. Snake.
Me? Yes.
Yeah, you look like you're about to talk.
Oh, I'm always about to talk. That's my toxic trait, is I never shut up. But a good point of contrast and comparison between the Jackal and or Adrius and his sister Virginia / Mustang is the Jackal grew up extremely isolated post his orchestrated murder of his elder brother Claudius, whereas Virginia, being the female heir, not as valued in Nero's eyes as the male heir until Adrius was replaced by Leto. Virginia had the Telemanuses, and you see the warmth and the jovial, loving nature of the Telemanus family, and that it's fairly directly stated that it is a key aspect of their personality, because Cavax is more so to Virginia a father than Nero ever was post the death of Virginia's and Adrius's mother.
I got a little bit sidetracked by reading Kate's comment. Kate, can you just give me a really great dissertation on Roque's character? I'll kick it off. Roque is also showing the power of ingrained. What is that? Nina Rational?
I think it's supposed to be generational.
Generational.
Yeah, it's a typo.
I was like, what is Nina National and how have I never heard it until now? I'm so out of touch. Generational racism. Why do you think Roque's like this? And give the example that I had a chuckle at.
He is absolutely that meme of that Twitter Karen calling the police on the Black family having the picnic in the park. That is absolutely him. He's locking his doors in the non-white neighborhoods. And I think even if Darrow had patched those bridges ahead of time, Roque still would have turned on him. Like, his ingrained racism against Reds was too deep to bridge it, even if nothing had happened between them. Like, it'd be like, Roque is absolutely the person who's only nice to the people who he deems equal.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of Golds, it's not just Roque as a character. He's kind of emblematic of the problem with Golds, because we see, for the first book and for most of the second book, we see him as one of the quote-unquote nice Golds compared to some of the other ones that we've seen, right, that are like very adversarial to Darrow, that are, very upfront about being vicious monsters. But Roque is still Gold, and that's like the true insidious face of like white supremacy and like oppressive racism, is the people who seem nice, but when it benefits them, they will turn on all those ideals so fast. So he's like very emblematic of that, as a like, it's like, no, I'm still better than you. You're still not equal to me.
That's the product of the society. I mean, was it Thistle who was outraged at Ragnar holding the razor? Like, that's not how it's done. And he's like, we're literally in a war. Like, he's unarmed. He is no help if he's unarmed. I'm literally going to give him a weapon so he can save all of us. Nope, unacceptable. And the fact that, Darrow even says in
it's
that
like,
moment,
you're fighting a war and he's the best fighter you have to turn the tide, and you're like,
Obsidian.
No.
And I would rather die than see an Obsidian hold a traditional weapon of our people. And in another foreshadowing thing, that Darrow even said that. He goes, oh my God, that's what the Golds are all about. Upholding tradition. And I'm like, so what
because
the
that's
fuck
and that's why we see the same thing with, like, when Black Lives Matter first started, and now like all the anti-trans and anti-LGBT stuff, where people who have been the oppressors don't like equality because to them it feels like oppression, and they don't like the status quo change. But it's also different from how we saw Mustang's reaction. Yes, she did leave after she watched the cube of his carving, but she wasn't there at that betrayal. Like, obviously, when you're in love with someone and then you find out everything you knew about them is a lie, that's a lot. And then he's like, oh, here, watch this horrifically gory video of me being tortured.
Yeah.
That's like a lot for someone to process. So
but I need an answer right now. Yeah.
Yeah, her leaving didn't seem like the same, like turning her back the same way that Roque did. It was more like,
I think she's still mulling it over. I think she's
yes,
still
this is very like,
really...
I need time to think about this.
Yeah.
Whereas Roque's like, he's essentially saying, like, he's doing the Draco Malfoy, like, you're a mudblood thing.
100%.
Like, you're immediately not human because you're not pure.
I do not care who you are. I do not care that we've just shared the last few years together, that you've had my back. I mean, there's other things like with, you know, Quinn and all that.
It's like, because Roque knows that Octavia and the Jackal are horrific people. They've been fighting against him this whole time.
Yeah.
And
the enemy.
But he's just like,
but the enemy of my enemy became my friend. And the Reds, or all other colors, will always be less than. The structure that this is built upon. K. Frodo says it's a highly racist society, and it's been this way for 700 years. It does not take one person to be like, hi, changing everything. So starting tomorrow, we're going to do everything differently. And those who have the most power are going to share it out. And you all get to choose and have your life. Like, this was never going to be easy. And one big flaw that I've kind of seen with the Sons of Ares is that they're not really showcasing how to utilize that change. What structural implements that they can have with Darrow in this position to start seeping it in. Darrow's trying things, trial and error. I'm going to start with this. And he's getting spotted out instantly. Augustus, play. Can you see this? This is you addressing everyone on the ship that you should have fleeced, that you should have flushed out and killed tens of thousands of people. Look at how you address them. Look at the hope that you give them. This is dangerous. We do not do this. So it's like every time he even tries to build respect outside of the gold class, it is witnessed and it is demolished, like completely. K. Frito says, we need to see more from the Sons. What was the plan? I think that's what we're learning. We are starting to see that. Sorry, I'm going between show chat. It's a lot of GIFs. I can't read out GIFs, but I see what you're saying. As soon as he was in a position of power where he would be Augustus's heir, then he would take the reign to be sovereign, and then they could start making those changes. I think Augustus is like trying to build an ally out of Darrow by, you know, I will make you my son, but all that spit that I, you know, was telling Mustang about the reformers, I was just trying to get her on my side. I want the reformers on my side so that as soon as I have power again, I will not do any of the promises that I'd guaranteed them. I will literally execute them for treason, for having those reformer values. So it's all bullshit. They're all tyrants. They're all power hungry. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Mustang. Would Sevro be so open? Yeah, it would, because he found out he was half red after he joined Son of Ares. When did he find out it was his father? I look to you.
I believe he found out around the same time as Darrow, because he basically, like, he didn't know his mom was a red up until a couple of days before his final meeting with Darrow and Fitchner and Dancer all in the same warehouse. So 2 days before that meeting is when he discovered, oh, I'm a half-breed, basically.
Yeah, that's why it's so short.
And prior to that, the implication seems to be that he had no fucking clue his dad was Ares. He was always just like, yeah, dad's just a grumpy old fuck who's distant. Like, he taught me survival skills, and yeah, he like taught me how to gouge a dude's eyes out with my thumbs and be basically like just this lone survivalist pack animal murder machine. But like, besides that, fucker hasn't done anything for me. No. He's not really nice to me. He's cold and distant. He's a bit of a shit eater.
Yeah. I was going to kill him at one stage, you know? Like, he just didn't.
Yeah,
really
he was,
care.
well, it wasn't that he was actively going to kill him so much as he was just like, I don't give a shit if you kill my dad. That dude's just that dude's just the seed donor, basically.
I'm a bastard's bastard.
I have no father.
I think that was interesting. And, the reason why Sevro is so easy to disrupt the caste system is because he's at the bottom of the golds. Like, when your own peers shit on you, so to speak, it's like, you know what? Let's unravel everything. I am so sick of their power. He's not immune to the disdain of his own class, and so he says the nicest people to me were all those under me. So yeah, I'm going to help them because they never did, because obviously what they value is status, is size, is brawn, and this guy, I mean, looks a little tweaked out. Let's be real. I'm reading some of the comments here. Avery says Darrow clearly trying to become Augustus's heir, also probably set him against the Jackal, since the Jackal's whole thing are daddy issues. Absolutely. And it was even Sevro that weighed in on it, being like, no, Jackal's off doing his own thing. He doesn't even care. I don't think he would mind. Did anyone else kind of be like, I do. I think that no gold in their living mind, whose father is about to become the sovereign or a king, goes, I don't really, I'm good. I don't need to be next in line. No, he was trying to win his father's curry the entire time. What do you think the whole last book was about? His father was bribing everyone so his son would win. And when he was humiliated, he got discarded, and Darrow was the new shiny thing. That's where Darrow literally had a target painted on his back and he was done for. Aaron, you've been making some good points as well. Even though he had a good reason to lie, this is Darrow to Roque, because the truth too soon would have been a death sentence. Roque reads all those poems and such and can't get his head out of his ass enough to put himself in other shoes beyond gold. Yeah, well said. Yeah, go.
Roque's whole thing is he is the soft-spoken scholarly academic, but at the same time, he doesn't realize that he's not immune to propaganda. And the fact that his mother is a senator and he is so high in, he explicitly stated Roque had a more holistic sort of old world style education of actual tutors and other people to basically bounce his ideas off of and speak with. But all of those people were high colors. Yes. All of those people reinforced the idea of obedience to the hierarchy, supremacy of gold, and that being ingrained into him by teachers, tutors, people he looked up to and admired and respected. Of course, that's going to be something that just sticks with him and has, like, that's the tick that is never going to rip itself off of his back, because it was planted in him from the earliest stages of his development. Whereas with Sevro, earliest stage of his development, I was left out on a rock because I was viewed by the Board of Quality Control as, some
defect.
Some
but Augustus did that to his son as well.
He did it voluntarily. The thing that I don't understand about that particular instance with Augustus is you've already got the favored son in Claudius.
Yeah.
Your wife gives birth to twins. One is another son, one is a daughter. The son is, from the immediate instance of infancy, you deem them as not as impressive as your firstborn. Why feel the need to put them out on the rock when you already have the firstborn that you're grooming to replace you?
He's a hard man.
He is a hard motherfucker.
It's so interesting too. I'd like to know if Pierce did this on purpose. I think he did. That in psychology, it's called the golden child syndrome or the golden son syndrome, where you have two children and one is put on a pedestal and the other is blamed for every wrong because the golden child can do no wrong. So the other child is the fuck up. And it's
Claudius and Andreas.
Yeah, so I think he probably did that on purpose.
Damn.
I think that might be my new number 2 is,
that's great.
Does Pierce have a solid character of Claudius constructed in his mind that he can give to us as readers or as like fans, basically being like, this is who Claudius was as a full person. This is why Nero loved him. This is why everybody else around him, basically except Adrius, viewed him as an admirable, just, and worthy successor to his father. In fact, even Nero himself says he was everything a son could be, wiser, kinder, better than his father. And it's like, was that actually who Claudius, like, I'd love for Pierce to elucidate us in regards to, is that a true aspect of Claudius? Like, was Claudius as good as everyone seems to view him in their rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, or was he more in line with, say, Cassius or Carnus?
It's easy to make him perfect when he has no background.
Kate first.
Sorry.
Because I'm just going to use a real life example, and I'm sure other people have real life examples of seeing people they know who have gone through golden child syndrome. Where I had a coworker who had 2 children, one son who was the older and a daughter. The son was the favorite. He was the golden child and was treated better in every regard. He was the one who, was being praised about all the time, and it's like how smart he was, how awesome he was. It was clear that he was their favorite child.
It's my brother.
And it was also clear, but this is where the story hopefully diverges from you, Maude. It was clear that the daughter got blamed for everything in that house because they could never blame their perfect son. She had no self-esteem because of it. And because of that, she got tied in with people who made her feel good about herself, who sold her drugs, and she became a very tragic drug addict. But even though her parents were quote unquote trying to help her, it was still under the veil of, look how perfect my son is, going to his high ranking university and all this kind of thing, while never talking about the problems that the daughter was having. And that feels a lot like, so I feel like Claudius probably was quote unquote okay for a gold, because he was probably given love, given respect, given all those things, and those things build. When you're given love from your family, it builds a better person than what the Jackal was receiving. So he probably actually wasn't like Carnus. He was probably more, like a okay guy for a gold. He was probably, still had all the horrible gold traits, but he wouldn't have been like the Jackal. Yeah, he would have been probably close to Cassius. Where it's
maybe like some kind of a cross between Cassius and Julian, or maybe even sort of similar to Tiberius in a way, because Tiberius seemed like...
Oh yeah, Claudius and Leto may have been kind of similar. So I feel like, yeah, he probably was okay. I mean, of course, he became a martyr because he was dead. That became the perfect child. But that, like, the Jackal is absolutely, he grew from the soil that his father planted him in.
Yeah.
He knew he wasn't loved. And even compared to his own sister, she was never going to inherit, but she still, she had fond memories of her dad, and that's why she found it so hard to dislike him, where she'd have those memories as a child that even though she knew she wasn't the favorite, she still had fond, a relationship where she remembered him loving her, and the Jackal didn't even have that.
Good point. Really good point. He is the product of his abandonment, A couple of things that I want to mention. One of them is rose-colored glasses. That was something that was really interestingly brought up. Is Claudius viewed in rose-colored glasses? Because we had that with Io. Darrow finally went back to Lycos, and he had sort of, because he'd built Io and her dream as the point and purpose of his entire revolt. He went through hell because Io's dream anchored him. He saw Io through red-colored glasses. Ayo. But what was really interesting, there it is. What was really interesting is that upon reflection, he's like, you know what? She was a little selfish. She would be spiteful about little things. She wasn't perfect, but I put her on this pedestal because she sacrificed herself for something that I'm now fighting for. And the fact that he catches up with Mama Bear and she's like, I didn't like Io at all. You're just kind of like, we've just spent a whole book worshipping the ground that she walked on. She was the bee's knees. She was amazing. And now it's like, she was a bit problematic. And I think that realization, now that he's taken her off the pedestal, he's doing it because he's decided that he needs to do it. He's capable, it's within his grasp, whether he's got the support of his mum or not. Oh, that was triggering for me. Oh, so you think that you should do it? out of everyone that could do it, you think it should be you? I'm like, yes. Why not? I could try. I'll give it a go. Thank you for support. Thank you, Jimmy. He found strength from within. So I thought that was a really beautiful moment because it then gave him permission to be with Mustang. That was always sort of holding him back a little bit. Perfect EO. That was a really beautiful moment. The second thing, I've just written it in themes in the Google Doc, being in someone's shadow. Now, this is something that we've experienced with several different characters, mainly the mighty servant, Tactus. How Octavius has weaponized the fact that Tactus was never going to be as strong or as good of a leader or in a position of power or just as Darrow is. And so he betrayed him to get out of Darrow's shadow. That was a really beautiful moment. Are you Team Tactus? He was a turncoat. I mean, dude completely betrayed him. But when it came down to killing children, to killing Lorn's children, grandchildren, Tactus said that that's not the man that he wants to be. And Octavius was almost like urging him to be the man that Darrow couldn't, to see that Darrow not being able to kill children is a weakness. But the fact that Tactus, decided that he wanted forgiveness and he would join Darrow, and that beautiful moment of male vulnerability. What did we think of that? Who's got thoughts? We'll get to Victra. But
I have thoughts on the whole vulnerability thing.
Yeah, what?
It was very interesting to me about Red Rising was, it was games, but it was a war book, and it was just constant fighting, nonstop action go. And then this book is, the whole book is basically wartime. And yet Pierce finds moments to put just almost obscene levels of vulnerability in. There's the chat that Darrow has with Victra where she is extremely vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Then there's the scene where Darrow finds out that Sevro knows his secret and he breaks down in tears because he is not alone anymore. And there's this massive vulnerability. And then there's the chat at the table with Darrow and Mustang, and she shows this incredible vulnerability. And it's just over and over and over again in this time of war where there's just tons of vulnerability. And that was actually something I was going to put in the questions for Pierce, is how did you write that into this book about
it was necessary.
Literally wartime? It just seems so...
you have to
different.
Be a human. It doesn't matter if you're gold or whatnot. Like, when you experience that amount of death, destruction, like your friends Tactus's face had blown off, half of his face, he was mangled. We are seeing things that in a lifetime you never should. And that's got to go somewhere, whether, it goes into rage, vengeance, or vulnerability. And, you're showing that this is too much for one person. I will say, though, the reason why I'm glad it's happened, we had one book to get to know Victra. One book. And when she became vulnerable, she became a person. She became someone that, I don't know about you guys, but I started backing her. I was on Team Victra. She was someone who was important to me. So when she was eliminated by her sister, she maintained a level of loyalty and honesty that we just haven't seen in this book. And from someone who we would have really quickly labeled a bit spiteful, mean, cruel, she was the one who was like, thank you, K. Frito. Victra was amazing to the end. Kate says Antonia can go in that fuck pile along with Roque. They deserve each other. So I think the fact that we see this level of vulnerability, it's a learning lesson for Darrow. Darrow learned such a lesson when it came to Tactus. He said anyone can change. This man who in the last book decided to rape for fun has decided, has had an arc where he would follow Darrow anywhere because Darrow was someone worth following. And he was okay sacrificing his pride, the expectations placed upon him by not only his own mother, but the sovereign of the freaking world, galaxy. He still chose to seek goodness because Darrow brought out the best in him. Those moments are they're pivotal. They're really, really important, I think. And it's really important for this character development. Without that level of vulnerability, do we really know Darrow? Or does he become a little bit of a robot? Do we know Victra's intentions? Do we know that those who have been serving in this particular empire under this caste system can change? Is there hope? And Tactus being vulnerable showed that. And, you know, you're exactly right, Kate. You said it earlier. It was incredibly important to have male vulnerability, especially in such a hyper masculine book, or at least that typical aesthetic of uber masculine. These are big, burly men who are strong and they're killers. And they feel shit. Which is why Roque should have been better. Oh, Roque! You pissant. So annoyed about that. It's just like, there are a couple of loopholes I find in it, but at the end of the day, yeah, he's just loyal to
I was gonna say earlier, kind of tacking onto what Kate was saying about Roque, is like, we knew that he wouldn't go along with Darrow, even if Darrow had trusted Roque enough to tell him that he was a red and all of this. We knew. Sevro called him out by name and said, Roque will never follow along with you.
Yes.
So we knew that.
Roque and Thistle out at the same time in the same breath.
Yeah.
He was like, they're too in love with their race.
Like, knew that going in. So the Roque betrayal thing wasn't as a surprise as much as the way it went down was a surprise.
I think what we're learning is seeking that level of change is the exception, not the rule. And Darrow had to share everything with Ragnar to be able to get Ragnar to kind of see. I thought that was a really interesting conversation as well, where Darrow's like, you're free. You're free. Now you get to choose me if you want, but it's your choice. Want. It's like, what do you want? And I think it was so beautiful to be like, what is want? I have never had want. This is not, these are your rules. You know, like you're asking me to prescribe to your traditions and your culture and your values, but they're not mine. So stop forcing that shit on me. But I think it worked.
I think it's really interesting that Ragnar is the opposite of the same coin as Roque, because Ragnar, he doesn't understand these concepts that Darrow's talking about because they're so not bred into an obsidian. That it's like, why would he want, like he explained, the concept of wanting? Yeah. It just doesn't exist in obsidian society.
It's not a part of their vernacular. We don't want. Yeah. We do. We obey.
Where he's like,
what? I mean, they don't even speak the same language at first. Or sorry to interrupt.
Yes, exactly. And it's just like Darrow having to, like, Roque obviously didn't have the epiphany that Ragnar had, but having that thing where it's like, no, this is the way obsidians are. This is the way golds are. This is the way society is. Like, your concepts make no sense to me.
I know, and I felt like Darrow could be a little bit more empathetic because he only just discovered a few years ago what the sky looked like, you know?
Yeah, well, and it's also like he kind of got thrust into learning what it's like to be a gold because he could pass as a gold.
Yeah.
And where it's like Ragnar couldn't pass as anything other than
Ragnar
what he was.
Is what he is. That's it. And I think that's kind of like the messaging here, where it's like, it is what it is, whether you want to call it tradition, whether you want to call it sort of like a mandate, which is why it's like you got to break the chains because they are chained to this logic. They are chained to this way of being. And I think that when your argument is, well, it is what it is. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it's always going to be. That's what Darrow is up against. And I just kind of wish we had a little bit more of an understanding on how do you disrupt that? And I guess Ragnar was the example. With time, with trust, with education and information. Ragnar, you were tricked into believing that they were gods. They're not. We're all people. You think I'm a gold? We bleed. Look at that. Same color. And he really had to sort of debunk all of these theories with evidence, which is how he got to become a gold, because he realized what reds really were. Apparently, Mars was an uncolonized planet when, in fact, for hundreds of years, they were. K. Frito says, revolution is easy. Lol. Real quick, sorry. Toaster Poster says, that Ragnar conversation reminded me of Hermione trying to free the house elves. And the house elves like, but this is just what it is. We serve. This is what we've always done. Great point. Go, Snape. Oh, he lost it.
Ragnar. So Ragnar. The very interesting thing about Ragnar to me is he is shown to be quick. He picks up use of non-military technology in the form of the datapad in less than an hour. He uses a legalese loophole in regards to ownership laws over lower colors in order to turn against the gold masters and slay his former like comrades or his former masters and like leash holders in the golds aboard the Vanguard, later renamed the Pax earlier in the book. But then also in his to go with you saying he ascended to gold, I don't think that's what he does. I think instead of ascending to gold, they are ascending past the need for the caste system. They're not all rising up to the level of gold. They're rising to the level of human.
Yes.
They're becoming people again as opposed to objects.
I actually have a quote to support what you just said. It was like during the battle, and Ragnar is given a weapon, and he like gets like one of the legates on the ground. And he basically says, "Yield to me and live. Yield to me as a man yields to another man." And the guy basically just says, "Never. I am this.
I am of the Carthy."
Yeah, so it's like, so
I am of the genes Carthy, I yield not to dogs. And he's like, then die in the dirt, and fucking eviscerates him.
Then become dirt.
Yeah.
I'm looking at I have the quote right in front of me, so
sorry. Oh, it's so good. Where it's like,
I love
that was beautiful.
I could hear it as well, but it's me. I am the person who's done all of these things, and the legacy is all of this. It's like you die like anyone else will.
Yeah, it's like what you just said. It's like he didn't become gold. He just elevated to somebody who considers himself a person rather than a weapon,
rather than a dog. Yeah, which
he uses.
I will say.
You go ahead.
He's like, I'm not a dog. I'm a man. But then 4 chapters later, calls someone a dog.
He's playing up the role.
Okay, because that was a contradiction.
He's strutting his stuff and evoking a bit of a character. He's testing his limits and seeing kind of who he wants to be. And he's seeing like, okay, my comfort zone is murder. My comfort zone is being the stained obsidian, being the embodiment of death and misery, being the servant to all mother death. And I find it absolutely fucking fascinating, the kind of inversion of the culture of the Obsidians, because their religion and their language is based on Old Norse. So like, the pantheon of like Freyr and Odin, but instead of all father, all mother, they've inverted the sort of gender hierarchy of the Norse in that sense, where it is the sons being sent to the stars to be the slave knights, and the women are the queens. His mother is Queen Alia Snow Sparrow, and so he is.
We love a matriarchy.
We do love big buff hot ladies. We do, and we also like it when they're a little mean. I.e. Victra.
I was gonna say, is this an overshare, Snake? Am I learning?
It is. I was down bad for Victra from page 1 when she showed up, and then that moment of vulnerability, I was like, okay. I was like 50% of the way. I hope to fuck that you're a good guy, and then as soon as that moment of vulnerability hit, I was like, okay, you're on the A team. You are queen. I love you.
Hard on the outside, gooey in the middle. Yeah.
Back to Ragnar. Ragnar's sort of testing his bounds and seeing who he wants to be, and the mine is kind of post-battle. The mine is his testing ground of what man do I want to be, and he. With that, with Mustang having her revelation, being given the recording of Darrow's carving, her faking them out into thinking that she's departed, causing Sevro to dip and chase after her, when in reality she's stayed back in the mine and is now ambushing Arrow in the dark of the deep mine tunnels. Ragnar says, like, she doesn't realize Ragnar. None of them realize. Her and Darrow are the only people there. They don't realize Ragnar's been watching them the whole time and has not departed with Sevro to chase down the craft that they thought she was leaving in. Ragnar says, as she's holding a gun to Darrow's head, and she's like, "You're a red. You're trying to enact genocide against my people." Even though, like, Mustang is pulling. She is a reformer. She has been explicitly stated as having the ear of the reformer bloc on Luna. She is a dyed-in-the-wool reformist, but as soon as a massive shift to the world, to her worldview comes,
too fast.
She starts to retreat back into old gold ways, and she's like, I have to kill you. You're a red. You're trying to murder my father. My father murdered your wife. How could you love me? How could you think anything of me besides, or my people besides that we are monsters who need to be struck down? And he's like, the Institute, like, remember the Institute, but then Ragnar says, you have 10 breaths until I put you in the dirt. And then it's just the countdown. And she then starts egging him on the closer they get to 0 breaths. She's like, or I have the quote, I have the page marked right in front of me.
Mustang actually say 1.
Mustang says 1.
Yeah, so it's you must not die, Reaper. You are important to the people. And it gets down to 9. She's like, Darrow, how can you be so foolish?
Hold on, what page number is this? I'll be Mustang.
This is page 422. Starting at the bottom of page 421. Ragnar, no, I snap.
Yeah.
I can't even see him in the shadows of the tunnel. Stop. Don't hurt her. He must not have pursued the tracking signal. As I told him to. How long has he listened?
Stay back!
Mustang shuffles sideways with her back, so her back is to the wall.
Does he know too? Do you know what he is, Ragnar?
The Reaper trusts me.
If anyone else has their book and wants to pick a character, now's the time.
Mustang tosses her light on the ground and pulls free her razor.
That's Darrow.
He isn't here to kill you, Mustang.
What else does a stained do?
I hold up my hands. Ragnar isn't going to do anything. Are you, Ragnar? No answer. I swallow hard. Everything is unwinding. Ragnar, listen to me. You must not die, Reaper. You are important to the people. Lady Augustus, you have 10 breaths left. Ragnar, please! I beg, trust me. Please. 9. I trusted you and the river, my brother. You are not always right. That is the cost of mortality. The voice comes from above, somewhere near the ceiling of the mine. This time, he's not wrong. He put his trust in me during the siege of Aegea. I led them into a trap. Luck preserved me. Laughing bitterly, Mustang coils her muscles to strike.
See, Darrow? You start this war. It'll be beasts like him who finish it and take their revenge.
7. This isn't about revenge. I try to calm myself. It's about justice. It is about love against an empire built on greed and cruelty. Remember the Institute. We freed those we were meant to take as slaves. We put our trust in them. That is the lesson. Trust. 5.
Darrow, she pleads.
She pleads.
How could you be so foolish?
Her mind is made up. 4. It's never foolish to hope.
Oh.
I strip my razor off and my data pad and toss them to the ground as I go to my knees. If you can't change, no one can. So shoot me dead and let the worlds be as they may. 3.
You think too much of me, Darrow.
And then Ragnar comes in. 2.
Let's skip the foreplay, Ragnar. Mustang twirls her razor. Its horrible hum fills the tunnel. Come at me, dog, and show Darrow what your kind lives for. Little racist bitch moment. 1!
The silence. She's retreating back into her. Yeah, so she calls out 1. The silence stretches on. Mustang growls, stomping out her own lamp. No light, no color but darkness. The silence is deeper than the tunnel.
There is color, isn't there?
The
Mustang's seeing color, isn't she?
She's
may
seeing
stomp
gold,
out a light, but she's seeing color. Ooh.
But like this moment is Ragnar deciding in this moment, like, this is the man I'm going to be. I've been testing who I am. I've been seeing what path I want to take, what destiny I choose for myself, and this is the one he chooses, where Ragnar shatters it with his voice. I live for my sisters. There is no scorcher flash, no scream of the razor, no movement, just the echo of the words down and down with the fragments of silence. I live for my brother. A light blossoms from Ragnar. He steps forward like some wayward pilgrim, white light glowing along the knuckles of his armor. I see no weapons. Mustang tenses, confused. I am, and always have been, son of the people of the Valkyrie Spires, born free to Alia Snow Sparrow of the wild pole of Mars, north of the Dragon's Spine, south of the Fallen City. He walks past Mustang, arms at his side. 44 scars I have earned for gold since the slavers of the Weeping Sun came from the stars to take my family to the Chain Islands. 7 scars from others of my kind when they placed me in the Agogi where I was trained. He kneels at my side. 1 from my mother. 5 from the talons of the monster who guards Witch Pass. 6 from the woman who taught me to love. 1 from my first master. 15 from men and beasts I fought in an arena for the pleasure of the Ash Lord and his guests. 9 I earned for the Reaper. The ground sighs under the weight of his knees. For gold I have buried 3 sisters, 1 brother, 2 fathers. He pauses in sadness. But for them I have never earned a scar. Through his armor's pale light, his black eyes burn like witch flames. Now I live for more. That's the choice. He's shown Mustang Obsidian can change, so you now have to make the choice. Do you wish to change? I put my faith in the indomitable human spirit, the cause of justice, and the power of love.
I mean, this is Mustang seeing for the 15th, 40th, 60th time someone following and choosing Darrow. Like, that has been consistent throughout this entire book. It's not because he's gold necessarily. He's bringing something that people want to follow. And now she's seeing that from the captain of the ship, from the mechanic, the orange, who was allowed to speak out with a better plan than what they were barking at him. They are seeing more and more that he is recognizing he is a part of a team because he cannot do it all. And Augustus had this incredible rant about why they shouldn't be allowed to do any of it, how the caste system has to be in place where golds are at the top. But something that we hadn't learnt until this book was the foundation of the Augustus family. Who the fuck is Nero? Where did he come from? Sometimes he says he's good, sometimes it's about the greater things, the greater good. We find out from Lorn, our Arcos, because Lorn's like, do you know the man that you're fighting for? Do you know the man that you keep choosing, that you're deciding to side with? This little fuckknuckle at 10 years old tried to assassinate, who was it, Snake? One of the Bolognas?
So when he was 7 years old, his father, so Virginia's grandfather, tried to murder the Bologna family. It failed. Yep. There was a house war. And then Nero was the only survivor of the house.
So his whole house got eradicated.
By the former. And so from the age of 7 onward, he's basically been plotting his revenge. Like, he grew up in basically the custody as ward of the former archgovernor, Cygnus, I believe, or Cyrus. Yeah. And so Cyrus raised him basically like, okay, I do not want a family of the conquering blood, one of those who fell upon Earth during the first Iron Reign and the birth of society. I don't want to be responsible for the death of a conqueror's bloodline.
Yeah.
And so he raises him, and then that's when Nero basically goes from being a 7-year-old boy witnessing the murder of his family to growing all the way up and being like, hey, guy who murdered my dad, I believe it was Julius.
Julius, I want to marry your daughter. Let's bring the families together, you know?
Yes, so Cassius's grandfather.
Will unite us together.
I want your most beloved daughter, so Cassius's aunt, as my wife, because I want to heal the injuries done between our families. And Cyrus is like, oh yeah, that seems reasonable. That seems perfect. I want Mars to be strong. I consent to this pairing. And then the night of the wedding, Lorn Arcos is in attendance as the Rage Knight to represent the sovereign of the society.
She had never looked so happy.
Iona Bologna was the most, in the arms of this stern young man, was the happiest I'd ever seen her in all her days. She was playmates with my own sons.
I'll tell the
her.
quick story though, because we've only got a finite amount of time on this show. So the TLDR version is basically he sent his beheaded. So basically this family war is always going to be stained. The Bolognas and the Augustuses, like it's Montague and Capulet all the way through. But it was just really interesting to know that Nero was playing the long game to take down his enemy. Where the fuck did Adrius learn that, huh? I wonder. Where did he get it? If you act like it in front of your children, they will learn. So the fact that Nero was so shocked. Yeah, right, my man. You created that monster in every capacity. There was no other path that Jackal could follow. And he was even like, I did all these things. How are you not proud of me? I literally have become you, and I'm playing the games that you played, and well, it just so happened that you didn't make the call, and it was your favorite son that died. And now your favorite replacement son is going to die.
It's Ramsay Bolton with, Lord Bolton.
Bruce, yeah.
Well,
yeah. Baden?
Just one thing to mention on that note. Nero is pretty different from Adrius. Like as they go into later on, like Adrius doesn't have a clear motivation besides power. He wants it. He wants to be able to do what he wants to do. He wants the approval of his dad, but he doesn't have any like long-term real goals that we know about besides power. And Nero is very different. He wants power, but he wants it for a specific purpose. He believes humanity needs like a ruler, it needs order to survive, and thus the key system is necessary. And that so even Darrow says like what's his name, like Adrius, aka the Jackal, is basically a sociopath who is doing what he wants to do out of greed and other stuff like that. But Nero is someone noble. He thinks he has a purpose to guide humanity. He's just extremely arrogant about it, but he does. There's a objectivity to it. It's not just like personal for him.
I feel like Nero has convinced himself. Yeah, he's convinced himself that it's for the greater good. And Darrow's there contradicting it. Oh, you think it's the greater good that you've done A, B, C, F, G, X, Z? Like, Augustus, Nero is convincing himself that what he's doing is incredibly necessary. But I think the Jackal doesn't have a spotlight on him, so can fly under the radar a little bit. That's it. Yeah.
Dance with the devil in the pale moonlight.
Also, now that Fitchner / Ares is dead, it's clear cut and dry. Darrow's going to be the new Ares, he's going to be the one to take his place eventually.
Oh, is that what you... do we do predictions?
That's my prediction.
I've got a few.
Might as well. We've got half hour left.
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, I think what was really important with this book going back to Ragnar is how efficient the Obsidians are. They have been the biggest threat to the Golds thus far. There was a time where the Obsidians were learning about their strength, were learning and understanding their power, that they weren't able to be controlled. So the Golds eradicated 9/10 of their entire species to kind of put them back down and then mold them into and brainwash them essentially into the shape that they wanted them to be. So I think now with Ragnar being so important, Ragnar was a gift. He was given as a prize to the Julii matron for betraying Augustus to the Bologna, and it obviously never happened. But I do think it's really important to note that as Darrow collects sort of like alliances, allegiances, he recognizes that Reds can't stand on their own. The fact that he went back to Lycos and he's like, oh my God, I was threatened by this weasel of a man. How was I not able to stand up to him? Was I so small and pathetic that I couldn't have fought back? This is the man who killed my wife, and I did what? Nothing. So I think he's understanding that Reds as a whole, even though they've got what inside that matters, they really don't have enough externally. And so he's like, the heart of Red, but the brawn and brevity, the conquest and the weapon that is the
physical
Obsidians.
prowess of the Obsidians.
Yeah. Also,
it's like the heart of a red, the strength of an obsidian, the tactical mind of a gold.
Also,
and
for clarification, like I forget what the physicality of reds are. Like I mean, obviously they grew up in mine, but like, are they like physically like in stature like much smaller than?
They're like I think the tallest reds tend to kind of max out according to my reading. They tend to kind of max out around like 5'6", 5'7". Like they range basically from like regular human.
How tall Sevro?
Sevro's 5'9". He said he's like a head tall.
Head. There's a head difference between
he's a head taller than well, Darrow Sevro is a head taller than Darrow was as a red before his carving.
Because he was like looking at his mom when he went back to the mine. He's like, this guy's like, she's like so tiny compared to me. It's like hold up, like, I can't really sit in these chairs because like, look at me, I will crush this thing.
Whose shoes are those? Oh my god, they were my shoes.
Yeah, that's like. Wait, how tiny are the reds?
Darrow's,
like, if they
Darrow
would like wise enough.
The reds are kind of like the the halflings. They're like a halfling dwarf crossbreed. And whereas
like hundreds of millions.
Like so, like basically, if we're to put it in D&D terms, reds are like halflings, and then obsidians are like Goliaths, and then golds are like, I guess, elves.
Buff elves.
Or like half elves, and then the
high elf arrogance.
Half high elf. But yeah, like it's so fascinating the interplay between all and the complex. Or to go back to the Dark Revolt of the Obsidians, they previously were the only other color capable of wielding a razor. So initially, when the conquering happened and the society was first birthed, the Obsidians their culture was based off of like Mongolian steppe nomadic, like traveling warrior tribes. Think like Attila the Hun or Genghis Khan type vibes. They were the only other color. They used to be a higher color. They used to be a member of like the mid or high colors. They wielded razors. They were basically the special ops war color. They still are now, but they were like just a tier down from golds. It's like, you guys are the military leaders, we are the government and military leaders. And then they're like, we could be the government leaders, rose up, got crushed, had themselves reduced by 90%, had the rule in place where if an obsidian touches a razor, they are to die via starvation, and they were forcibly indoctrinated with this sort of matriarchal inversion of the Norse pantheon. So originally they were a much different culture and people, and then it all comes crashing down, and then they become the space Viking barbarian war machines.
So what I am hearing then is that you can disrupt a system that's been in place for a long time and rebuild from the ground up. You just have to wipe out 90%. So what does that say? How do we disrupt the system is all I'm saying. Oh, by the way, Son of Eagle, thank you so much for 10 months. I really appreciate your subs. K Frito, we have a plan. We don't have shit now. This is the end of Golden Sun.
It's all about all about breaking down and how you choose to rebuild.
You aren't allowed to talk about future books.
I'm not talking about future books. I'm just talking about the theme. The theme of the book revolves around learning how to destroy and how to build back from it.
That's true.
I mean, that was Ares' whole thing: bring down the society and replace it with something new. You have to take out the foundation, build something else again. Like that's why the Sons of Ares have been referred to as termites in the foundation.
Yeah, they're disrupting it from the bottom. We haven't really touched on him. New characters, right? We've got Lorn's a new character, Victor's a new character. Pliny is a new character. Pliny, Avery, you had a really good analogy for who Pliny is, like another character from a book that we covered a wee while ago. That is the exact thought that I had. We were on the exact same page with who this character was. Do you want to share the other version of Pliny in a different book and why they're very similar?
Yeah, I said that he was like the apparat from the Grisha-verse.
Alina!
Yeah, from the way that he, he was the advisor of the king. He was the one giving the information, finding the information. He was in charge of, like, public relations kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But he also was a snake, and he would work for his own gain, and he would switch allegiances depending on who he thought was going to be have more power in that moment. And I thought that Pliny, however you say his name, was going to be more like that. Pliny? Okay.
Pliny, yeah.
I thought he was
like Pliny
going
the Elder.
to be more like that. I thought he was going to be there longer, and that we would see him swap roles and just continue to cause problems, but like with different people each time.
So as soon as he was cornered into the plan, instead of being like, kill him, it's just a boy, he would have been like, I've only ever been nice to you. I've only ever tried to champion you, boy. Bring me back on into your side and I will serve you. Yeah, there's always a worm tongue, isn't there? And Chuck Rules says, Pliny is a worm who thought himself a snake because he could slither. Fuck
It was
Pliny,
so
though.
satisfying having it was so satisfying having Darrow just like backhand him twice.
Slapped
and then
him.
just be like, he just whaps him once, picks him up, whaps him again, picks him up, and then it's just like, I'm not gonna ruin the moment by beating the shit out of you any further. I'm gonna set you down and be all gentle and comb your hair and give you a kiss on the cheek and be like, hey buddy boy,
take care of it.
I'm gonna go Godfather about it.
And it's like
walks away, and it's like not even like 2 steps
barely
away.
walked away.
They're all
as soon as he turns around, just
oh, because I know the noise that a razor makes when it, when it kills.
when it kills.
Oh,
just a wet gurgling.
But I feel like having a Pliny makes sense. But I mean, Augustus is like, don't challenge me for why I have him. I have him for a reason. And I was like, mate, we all saw that he was a piece of shit, and he turned on you, and you're in chains because of it. We haven't really. I guess we did. We sort of saw Augustus get captured and then rescued, and then everything was supposed to be fine, and then his days were numbered. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring up Pliny because he's only in this book, and this is the last time we can talk about him.
We love to hate him. We love to hate him. We love a sneaky, conniving little bastard man.
Also, Pliny's whole character arc in general was like giant foreshadowing for the Jackal. It's like, don't trust the Weasley bastards just because they have to be smart and have some connections. If they're gonna stab people in the back, they're gonna do it to you.
They're gonna do it.
You just have to give them a reason to.
You don't even really. You don't even directly have to give a reason to. Son of Eagle has just gifted a sub to Pylang. Pylang, if you're here, make sure you give Son of Eagle a thank you, because that's really sweet. Don't trust the media gurus. Hey, listen, Avery, that's too close to home. What should you say? Does that mean you don't trust me? But yeah, I hear what you're trying to say. He's trying to create propaganda. So that ain't good. Alrighty, going through other talking points. Darrow sharing who he is. He does it to Ragnar. He does it to Mustang on Lycos. Darrow feels unable to continue his relationship with Mustang until she knows all of him, but these are loose threads with no indication of loyalty or guaranteed trust. How did you feel? I wanted to ask the members, and I want to ask the chat, because I had quite visceral feelings for when Sevro found out. Joyous, wonderful, burden off shoulders, trust. When he said it to Ragnar, too soon, can we trust him? That's another person. You haven't asked him to kind of zip it and the importance of it. You're really putting a big thing on the line here. And then Mustang, what are you doing, son? How are you feeling about the fact that throughout this book, more and more people, until the end of the book, where everyone knows that he's a red? Anyone?
I was annoyed. That was the one thing that annoyed me. Like, and I said it during the first half how I really related to Darrow, and then as the second half went on, I was like, God damn it, Darrow, you're such a friggin' idiot.
Yeah.
Because all he ever asks for from his friends is that they trust him. And yet he can't give them the same. And maybe it's just me, but I'm very much the kind of person that trust given is trust earned.
Yeah. I think that's how Roque feels. I think
Yeah,
you
and I
actually
believe
just
that
made
is, although
a case for him. Yeah.
I don't know that Roque would follow Darrow, but I do think that trust given is trust earned. And in the case of Roque, he spent all this time like, no, I trust him, but you never did.
He did.
Right? Darrow's constantly saying, I trust Roque, but he never really trusted Roque. Not with anything
I think he had a benefit
massive
of the doubt.
substance.
I think after what they went through the Institute, I think he thought that those bonds were on the same level as Sevro and him.
Didn't help that he also put a needle in his neck to knock him out.
With no real
Well,
explanation.
it was just a continual downhill spiral for their relationship from the start. The needle in the neck,
And you know
the
what?
death of Quinn.
There was a really good explanation for both of those. He could have said, because he said this to the Jackal, I learnt before the ball that the Sovereign at the end of the 6th course was going to allow the Bellona family to eradicate the Augustan family. And that's when he could have gone, shit was going to go down. It was going to be a bloodbath. I didn't think that you could, as you know, you're not a fighter. Like, I just couldn't risk your life in that moment if that's what happened. Yes, I decided for you, but statistically, chances are you wouldn't have made it, and I couldn't have had that on my conscience. And he'd be like, oh, I don't like that you decided. Say was, I'm going to track her. I'm going to track her so that the next part of this plan will come into effect. So there's so many ways where he really could have bridged that, kept him incommunicado, like not betrayed him. There's those little moments. And then by like months down the line, Darrow's having a conversation and he's like really close with the Jackal. And Roque's like, when the fuck did that happen? And Darrow's noticing that and he's like, well, yeah, I guess he's seeing that I'm doing all this shit that he doesn't know about now. And I'm like, Darrow, that was a little bit frustrating for me, the reader, where it was like there was tangible things that could have happened to start sort of patching it back together. And then, of course, the timing when they're starting to really talk. And he's like, do you know why I was put in Mars? And then Sevro's like, oi, we got to go. It's important now. I'm not fucking around. And so it's like, hold that thought. And the quote was, I'm looking up the quotes that we have in
it takes years to rebuild friendship or something like that.
Friendships take minutes to make, moments to break, years to repair.
Yeah.
Final clue that
that was the end of Roque and Darrow right there.
Pretty
that
much.
line.
Yeah. It's like you keep choosing everyone but me when I have.
I don't remember who said it. I don't remember who said it, but somebody said in Fable that like throughout this book, Darrow just takes Roque for granted.
It's me.
Was it? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, 100%. He's just like, no, Roque's always gonna be there, always, and I don't have to tell him why I'm doing the things I'm doing because Roque
never give him
believes
a
in
reason to.
Roque lost Leah in the first book, lost Quinn in this book. Everyone he loves, like that's gonna. I said this last time. I was like, Roque, he's gonna be too broken to fix. Like.
Roque does fall in love extremely easily, though. Like,
hey, I'm not going to hold that against him.
No, I'm not either. I'm just saying. Homie's got an extremely open and easily breakable heart. Because like the second victory gives him a smile. The second victory gives him a smile. He's blushing. Second Tactus makes a little joke. He's blushing. He's just always.
Darrow's kind of the cause of all of his loves that he's crushing on so hard to be gone. Like, you know, in book 1, she's dead because he wouldn't give himself up, which understandable. Quinn dies defending him.
Yeah.
It's like, which I also think Jackal let her die and he just pretended to try to help her. That's my theory.
Why would he want Quinn to die? Didn't they have a no?
Oh, he means Leah.
What I don't understand is why Antonia is giving Jackal the light of day when in the Institute, the Jackal strung up Antonia to die on a crucifix. How did that patch? What's he?
I think
it's not the
maybe
Institute
she's a sadomasochist.
What, she liked it?
Maybe. I don't know. The golds are a little freaky, and they just keep getting freakier as shit goes on.
Well, you know the line that I actually got that from? It's when Dancer was talking about when Holiday? What's her name? Harmony. When Harmony turned, they were following the Senates on that little, getaway. And it's like, we only discovered that they were deeply depraved. And you're like, what happened? And then, of course,
it's Roman orgies.
Oh, okay.
It gets way worse. The implications of shit get way worse than that later.
I mean, the entire society is just basically gold are the
Why
Romans.
would you tell us that?
I also think, though, that Antonia just likes power. She'll get into bed with anyone if it, kind of is a way for her to move up the ladder. So now that the Jackal and the Sovereign are working for the same goal, it's like, whatever. As long as I get mine in the end, I'll work with anyone because she's such a narcissist.
Also,
she loves to steal from her sister and her mom because she's just like, Victor's been hanging out with the Jackal a lot.
I want
Not yet, not anymore.
I want
older
that.
sister. Victra is also kind of the golden daughter of the Julie family because Agrippina's she's like, mom doesn't hold access to my accounts like she does with Antonia's.
I love any chance I get to correct you, Snake. It's Julii.
Julii.
Fuck, I just became 70% Victra, didn't I? 30%.
I just because every time I see like a double I just go E. So like with what's the guy who Ragnar stabs into the dirt. The guy says he's a member of like the Carthi, so would it be Carthii?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting. Cool. I like getting corrected because it expands my knowledge base.
I love the fact that I can correct you. That's nice. Vaden says Roque's situation was so frustrating because one of the main themes of Golden Sons is trust, and Darrow didn't learn from his mistakes with him. The reasons for Darrow not explaining the truth felt somewhat contrived. That's the thing. I just presented really viable solutions for those problems. And if I can think of it, maybe that's my question. Piers, you were nearly perfect. Practically perfect.
Every time Darrow tries to learn from one mistake, he ends up making 15 others along the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not
a perfect protagonist. He is flying by the seat of his pants. And nice. Mustang masterful foreshadowing. Mustang and him have that conversation of when Roque is getting angry. Roque is upset with him and wanders off. I believe this is post the conversation over Tactus's dead body in the sickbay. But Mustang says you need to mend that, and soon.
I will.
And he's
yeah.
And Darrow's after 100 other things. I will after 100 other issues that I need to deal with. So it's
in the book.
He views Roque as like we're brothers. He literally calls him as he's poisoned. He calls out. He's like, Roque, brother, and he's like, we're not. No, we're not brothers.
No, homie. No.
We're not brothers because I am a man of gold and you are a man of red. We are not brothers. The world in which we are brothers does not exist anymore.
Which is why
because
Chuck
I have
Rules,
now learned the truth.
Chuck Rules commented, "It wouldn't have mattered though. Roque was always going to Roque, no matter what Darrow did," and that's that. The foreshadowings just. Redonk. Another foreshadowing.
It's all over the place.
There's another one. Mustang did a dissertation on how throughout time they've erased this as a history, but love conquers all. Did you hear the story about how a gold and a red fell in love and they went to a carver so that her fallopian tubes or her fertility would be aligned with that of a gold? Fitchner.
It was a gold and a gold woman fell in love with an obsidian.
Oh, that was that story.
And then, but during Fitchner's conversation with Darrow, when it's like, "How did your wife die?" "Oh, well, some black market carver got busted because he was goofing around with an obsidian's reproductive organs, and in order to reduce his sentence, he ratted us out too."
Yeah.
And so it's like that. So it's like, oh, was the obsidian that was getting modified to get with a gold the same one that was mentioned by Mustang earlier? It loops back on itself, and it's really recursive. It's to quote George Lucas, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
That was a good impersonation as well. Well done. The Fitchner story. So, we talked earlier about Fitchner's reveal of being Aries. I listened to that at 1 a.m. and I shrieked. That was not good for my heart. It's the kind of thing that K. Frito, Fitchner was the enemy, one of the enemies of like the first book. You love to hate him. He was supposed to help Darrow, but he wasn't at all. And then you realize that the twist is that it's Sevro's dad, and you're like, what? Oh, I guess that makes sense. So he's kind of played an integral part. In this one, he becomes a Rage Knight. Now, didn't see that coming. He was a bronze. This is a bronzed man that's, you know, got his way to being a Rage Knight. Turns out he's capable of so much more. Sons of Aries, sorry. Is he a man, woman? Well, we don't know. Has anyone seen him? No, no one's seen him yet. Who is he? Once it's revealed, did everyone else go, who else was it going to be? Of course it's Fitchner, you know. And we were talking earlier about how Fitchner, son of Ares. Ares is literally the Roman god of Mars. Like they're the same, the Greek god of Mars, Rome. You know, it's like, it's right there. But how did we feel about Fitchner being revealed as Ares, only to lose him by the end of the book? Because I will say, when they have that meeting and he's like, all right, boyo, I'm on your team. You've got me and all of my people. I have a network. We're all dedicated to you. We're going to make this easier. You don't have to do it alone. It was too good to be true. Terry,
it was a golden ticket to the end of the line. It was too good to be true. Yeah.
Ding. Terry says I was more surprised by Sevro's background. The fact that Sevro is half red. Mama was red. 22 she died. 22.
Explains why Sevro's so short.
Explain why Sevro's so short and not so pristine. You know, like anything that's less than perfect is like broken. And so the fact that he's not statuesque and so attractive and short, that even horse-faced Millie is like, all right, little thing. Like that size really is important for the golds. Mavis says, I screamed, what? While mowing my lawn in suburbia at the Fitchner news. I may have scared my neighbors. I mean, Fitchner being Aries made me really respect the character for the first time, like proper mad respect for this character. He has been a huge thorn in the gold side. He's been so covert in all of what he's been trying to do. He had to even sort of figure out bloody Harmony on the side, who decided to go a bit rogue. It was really interesting that Fitchner was able to finagle this position in the way that he did. And of course, Darrow fucking up the plan, jumping onto the ship. And then the Sovereign being like, well, we have to kill him. And he's like broken. He like is falling over. And Sovereign saying, Fitchner, I want you to record this. I want you to behead him. I want you to kill him. And Fitchner was stuck between a wall and a hard place and had to completely out himself by trying to attack the entire ship to rescue Darrow and outing himself as a traitor and undoing all the work that was happening, only to be killed and have his head in a box. Very Seven moment. It wasn't a box. How do you think the Jackal found out? Snake, you're exempt from answering this. Timbo.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure that the Jackal figured it out when the Sons of Ares attacked them. When
Attica. So I know, because I read it because I read it twice.
Jackal said something about that.
He did.
The Jackal said something about that.
I found out on Attica, and Attica is his new compound that he stole or got claimed from the Ballooners, where he had successfully kidnapped. Was it kidnapped?
He had captured Evie, the pink from the first book with the angel wings, who then came back and tried to bomb Adrius earlier. He captured Harmony, and he captured Mickey. So he had all three of basically everybody except Dancer, who was direct observers.
But when the Sons came and they, you know, mocked the rescue, they only just took Mickey. What happened to Harmony? What happened to Evie?
Jackal was talking to Harmony on the Hollow when Darrow showed up, because Darrow said he noticed it, and his like
he was talking to
Harmony.
He was talking
Harmony
to the Great
flipped.
Torturing Harmony.
I think Harmony flipped Because she's also the
I think it was
one
Mickey.
person they didn't take with them, if I'm not mistaken.
It's Mickey? Is that why he's like so enamored and
apologetic and like, thank you for saving me? That's my theory. I have no idea.
You know
Snake
what
would
though?
know, but I don't.
I mean, let's look at Mickey's character.
Oh, shit.
He was a slaver. He was very proud of
Shut up,
Darrow.
Liquid.
But yeah, put your video off right now.
Shut up, Snake.
Mickey is a carver, is proud of the work, worships Darrow for some reason, and Darrow's just eating it up. We know that Mickey was tortured, but supposedly didn't talk, says Vaden.
Also, that's the third carver like in a row. It's like each time somebody like a carver like tries to make
Carvers
some
talk.
other color into a gold, the carvers talk.
Yeah. But why didn't they rescue Harmony and Evie? It was only Mickey that got rescued from the compound.
No, they rescued both of them. They got all three of them out.
Right.
I'm just
But Harmony was
not
left behind, wasn't she?
I'm a little hazy on the details of how it happens, but we figure out what happens to them in book 3.
Damn it. Kate says, for some reason, what do you mean? He wants to fuck his creation. He's Victor Frankenstein. Thanks, Kate.
That's actually damn. I didn't. That's a new wrinkle to the character of Mickey that I hadn't considered.
That's a bit Oedipus complex in reverse.
Well, he's like a reverse Victor Frankenstein because he actually loves his creation, whereas the one in the book was just
revolted by it.
Yeah, exactly, and he rejected outright. Him is like, I love what I make so much.
It's funny that none of you picked up that Mickey is clearly in love with Darrow.
Kissed him on the mouth.
Oh no, it's there. It's just they don't want to think about it.
I always viewed it as just like the way an artist is in love with their work.
Yeah.
I never viewed it.
Same.
I never viewed Mickey as seeing any of his creations in like a sexual light for himself. I feel for me personally, I view Mickey as Ace. That's just my personal take on it.
I think Harmony's talked because Harmony tried to completely emotionally manipulate Darrow into being her soldier, her kamikaze. And because he didn't blow himself up and take out the entire gala, and he instead twisted it so that he could become more credible, and he was disagreeing with Harmony's ways. I think Harmony was building resentment. If you won't do what I say, then no one can have you kind of thing.
I think Mickey revealed that he is red, that Darrow's red, but I think Harmony gave up Fitchner as Ares. That's my
Turn your video off,
Harmony
Snake.
didn't know about Fitchner though. I don't think Harmony ever met Ares. Not.
But she
truly
also
met Ares.
well, she said she saw Dancer die, so clearly she's not a reliable narrator.
Yeah, because that didn't happen at all. Well, Fitchner came in to save the day on that. Boyo.
Yeah.
But I don't think Harmony would have followed. Well, I guess she did split from Ares, but she wouldn't have followed Ares if she knew Ares was a gold, because that was her whole thing, was that she didn't believe golds. She only believed reds.
Yeah.
Unless she split because she found out.
That's true.
Yeah, Harmony had her own agenda, and she turned a bit batshit.
Harmony turned into a red supremacist.
Yeah, in front of Evie. Oh, that was awkward. She's like, I don't trust anyone but reds. You're
I feel
right.
so bad. I feel so bad for Evie specifically because pinks have like extremely heightened pain perception and the most frail bones of all of the other cast colors. So her under the torturer's knife has got to be the most fucking brutal thing for her, especially after,
So it was Evie.
just growing up as a pink in the garden with the Cupid's kiss implanted in your spine up until the age of 12. Like that shit is so fucked up.
Actually, if you ever watch the show, like the first season of Altered Carbon, like the golds are basically the wealthy in that society who just sky cities, sky flotillas and stuff like that.
They get
And it's
uploaded
like-
into different bodies, don't they? So they can keep.
Yeah,
lasting
it's like
forever?
they basically have clones themselves. They could just never die as long as they have a clone ready to jack their brains into.
It's just so rich that they don't view other people as as products, as commodities.
Exactly. It's like that's the strongest comparison I can have to like, if you want to like know what the golds are like. Season 1 of Altered Carbon.
What are they called? They're called the Meths because they're like Methuselah. Because Methuselah was like the immortal guy, Noah's like immortal father or grandfather in the
they call
the
that
Bible.
religious thing. Yeah.
Well, he was the oldest person recorded in the Bible. It was like 900 some odd years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perks of growing up Baptist.
I have one last thing as we wrap things up. Lorn or Arcos?
Love that guy.
I'm
So
gonna
sad.
admit I hate him for killing Tactus. I love him for acknowledging the fact that killing Tactus was a mistake, and he is like, "You've proven to me that people can change, or at least given me the hope to want to believe that people can change." I'm gonna miss Sword Grandpa so much. God, I'm gonna miss Sword Grandpa.
I love Arcos.
Of Lilith trying to cut his throat and him putting his fingers up and then all of his fingers like getting cut off and him fighting to the end without even getting his razor. That one was hard because this is a man who has basically done everything to remove himself from the bullshit, to look after his remaining family away from it all. He does not want blood on his hands anymore.
He got Godfather 3'd.
Oh, he certainly did. The fact that he's still kind of bitter that Darrow chose Augustus. He's like, I asked you and you've rejected me. And like Darrow's understanding of it's like, if I went with you, I would live a long, happy life. But that's not what my goal is. That's not what I'm here for. And then Lorn looking at him going, in another world, you would have been my son. Like this is the relationship that they had. For the first half of the book, or almost, first third, it was under wraps completely. We'd only heard of this man. Everyone quotes him because what he says is so astute and wonderful, and you know, he knows so much. He's never been bested. Only one person could probably take him on and maybe win, and that's his apprentice, Aja. You know, it's like he's been woven into the history of this over 2 books, and we finally really get to learn him. He had big Odin vibes for me, I think. Yeah, I was waiting for him to catch a hammer. But the way that betrayal happened, like, even though Darrow lies to his face going, yeah, I don't want to keep lying to you, but I'm going to, ropes him into it. But the fact that Lorn is killed, out of all the people that died, Victra, that hurt. Lorn, that hurt.
Was Ragnar there? I can't remember.
No, Ragnar was Sevro dipped and Ragnar accompanied him.
Yeah, Ragnar, Mustang, and Sevro were all suspiciously missing from those events.
And the Telemonosis.
Which is funny because it'll make, which is funny because it'll make the 5th time that Mustang or Sevro has to rescue Darrow. I'm getting so sick of this man getting rescued.
Darrow is the quintessential big buff damsel in distress.
I mean, he is Princess Peach in the next castle, and Mario, the short boy, has to go and rescue him.
Infinite plot armor.
Yeah,
he's Darrow is the Luigi.
Yes.
To Sevro's Mario, and then that would make Adrius Waluigi. Because he's short and shitty and the anti-Sevro.
Yeah.
Or wait, no, that would no. We need
that would make him
Wario.
Yeah, that would be Wario. And then who would be? I guess Carnus maybe would be Waluigi, or maybe Roque is Waluigi.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He's a lanky, conniving. Except I kind of still love him because I don't know. I have a soft heart. I have this desperate hope that he'll still be not a piece of shit. But
Chuck says a Telemanus is Donkey Kong.
Telemanus is Donkey Kong.
Chuck, you can stay. You've had zingers all day.
Wasn't it? Because earlier in the book, when Fitchner was first revealed as the Rage Knight, he was like, so which one of you fucked the gorilla, or was it a bear?
Rhinoceros, wasn't it?
Oh no, yeah, rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros, or was it a bear? And he was like, he doesn't know if he's being insulted. He's like, well,
we love the family of everyone being a big burly himbo, save Daxo.
Aw, Sophocles. Well, Daxo's so brilliant.
And he had a giant fox that he kept.
Yeah, he has a giant genetically engineered fox.
Yeah, Daxo's a super warrior that wears mink.
Pretty much, but the mink is still alive at
jelly
least.
Beans.
Yeah, it's he wears mink in the way that some people put their cats just over their shoulders.
Yeah.
The Telemanuses. I don't want them. I don't want the Telemanuses to die. I don't want Mustang to die. Darrow can't die because it's his story. You already killed Victra. It's not okay.
As long as
that.
Sevro lives throughout this whole thing.
I was going to say, who here is going to be utterly devastated when Sevro kicks?
What do you mean when? What do you mean when? Not that attitude around here, please.
It's okay. It's the nature of the most loyal friend. He will at some point sacrifice himself for Darrow's life.
Oh, don't say that.
It's so trope, it's not even funny.
I mean, Ron did in the first book.
Well, that's it for today's show.
Like
We're wrapping things up. Next month's book, we're celebrating Pride Month by reading Casey McQuiston's One Last Stop. This is kind of in lieu with what like Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow was like. Not necessarily really hard sci-fi or really high fantasy. It's a modern day story which has sort of science fiction dabbled in there. A little bit of time travel, a little bit of that fun stuff. Mama Bear has decided that she's going to read this book and come on board. So, Snake, you're new around here. My mum's a psychologist, so every now and then she'll come on, read a book. She hosts her own book club. She says hers is a little bit cooler because she curates music, like the music from either the book or the era or the vibe. She's like, can you play music on yours? I was like, no. She's like, mine's better. So she's.
I'm now concerned I'm going to get psychoanalyzed by your mom if she watches the playback of it.
Oh, she won't.
I'm willing to start putting together book soundtracks for us. I'm just saying.
I like that idea. So One Last Stop, we'll be covering that the second half of next month. And because you're all KPDubbs just gifted some subs. Cormac DSM. I used to know this. STF NRO. Stefan from Romania. Yes. Puppy Chow, Just Jonrick, Gory Kills, and Pyre. Oh, that was earlier. You all got gifted a sub. If you got gifted a sub, make sure you say thank you to KPDubbs because we are a good community like that. Yeah, we like that. Everyone's giving. It's like a golf clap. It's gonna last a while. Avery says One Last Stop. We need lots of post-punk. Yeah, I'm about that. And because next month is Pride Month and because I'm trying to do more Q&As, especially with authors that we've previously covered, so maybe not as fun for the newer people, but maybe you've read the books. I haven't confirmed it yet, but that mystery author that I've been trying to lock in for a weekend, V.E Schwab, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and Vicious author. Got to work with a Scotland time zone for that one. So we're getting V.E Schwab happening, which I'm very thrilled about. V.E Schwab is one of my Insta-buy authors, if that says anything. So, I mean, if there's time, I mean, can we do Darker Shade of Magic at some stages? Too many books, not enough time. Maybe we need to 2 books a month is a big ask. But
we have 2 undecided slots, don't we? We could throw one in and maybe we could throw in Iron Gold.
We are going to also, we need a new series. We've got a new series as well. We're going to try and do Way of the Kings at some stage because that Brandon Sanderson's been on my to-be-read list for 6 years. KPDubbs reminds me that there are 52 Wednesdays per year, so we could be doing, 52 books? 28 books?
26.
26 books?
Math.
Well, sometimes months have 5 weeks, and so 5 Wednesday.
We can crush 20. We can crush
26.
25 books.
I think we can crush 26 to 28 books in a year. Easy.
What are we doing at the moment? 12. Stormlight Archive. It wasn't Way of the Kings, it's Stormlight? Oh, that changes everything. I thought it was Way of the Kings this whole time.
All of a sudden, Maud's like, hard pass.
No, the series is called Stormlight Archives. The first book is Way of Kings.
Oh, okay. I thought it was separate altogether. I was like, oh no, what have I done?
And she's back in.
Because he has a bunch of other series like Mistborn and stuff, but they're all part of the same they're all part of the same multiverse, the Cosmere, I think it's called.
Was it beginning of last year or this last year? Beginning of last year we did the first 3 of Mistborn, and that was bleak but fantastic. The Cosmere, thank you. Stormlight will need more than 2 Wednesdays, says Kate. It's fatter than I am. Yeah, they're big books. We recognize that. Yes.
What qualifies as a big book? Is 800 pages big?
We've done 900 before. Wasn't
okay? So then
qualifies.
Iron Gold and Dark Age then would be doable then, I guess, because they're like around 700 to 800 pages.
Got it. Yeah,
like
we did
between
Priory,
between 7 and 900.
I will say that 900. If there's 900 pages in a standalone fantasy book, I'm not going to like it because it's too long. I think 900 pages is too personally. Priory of the Orange Tree. I was like, rip a third.
Crushed that in like 3-4 days, though. Remember, just to get caught up.
Also, like, it didn't help that book had like a lot of like stuff that like that could have been cut.
Really could have
been. Wouldn't have
affected the story at all.
Yeah,
Toaster said, I finished 6 of Crows. Inej and Nina were awesome, and the men were there too. Great comment. Black Belt says, Prior of the Orange Tree was very long. Chuck Rule says, what was the book people were talking about earlier? It was like W something something. Way of the King? One Last Stop? One Last Stop is next month's book?
Webster's Dictionary? I don't know.
No. Hey, Chuck.
Sorry, I'm dumb.
If you're not, join our Discord. We have schedules. We talk about the books. We have a really great community. Head on over there. Oh, it's One Last Stop or Way of the Kings. Okay. But join up and we'll chat with you in there as well. Oh, you just joined. Welcome. Hey, let me read out the people that have just joined during the show so I can say hello. We have a Amber Marine. Hello. Oh, yay. That was this morning. The Big Sheep. I really needed to finish that and not stop when I stopped, didn't I? The Big Sheep. Is that everyone? Where are you? Are you Amber? Chuck. What? I wish I handled that moment a bit better than I did. But, yeah. That's who it said it just joined. 709. Amber? Chuck Rules? Oh, you meant 3 days ago. Great. You are not Amber. I'm guessing your name's Chuck, if you rule. And does OW stand for Overwatch? You joined 3 days ago. Okay, we like that. We like that. Welcome, new members. If you're watching right now and you want a cool online book club, we got over 1,100 members. No big deal. Adam says, I'm Amber and a liar. Am I Amber? What? Thanks for the head fuck, Adam. Drive by. Pew pew. What? KPDubbs says, I did not like this book's ending. Actually, you rant, KPDubbs. You rant. Mic on. I want to hear it from you.
Oh, well, I just typed in the comment, but yeah, I mean, how many chapters ended with Darrow, like, on the deck looking up to 500 people with guns pointed at his head? End of the chapter. Next chapter, oh, he's fine. He gets out of it or somebody saves him or whatever. So the last chapter of this book to me was just another chapter.
Oh,
I would have
you didn't feel the weight of it.
No, it was like, okay, well, he'll get out of it. I know that. It's no big deal. When there's no stakes, there's no
Jack Sparrow.
peril. Yeah. So
do character deaths not qualify as stakes?
I'm talking about Darrow stakes.
Fair enough.
He's a little too untouchable.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent a week recovering from being sliced in the neck clavicle hole.
But yes, you're right. Somebody else dies in his place, but it should be him all those times, and he doesn't. So to me, I would have liked to seen some minor resolution at the end of this, but I didn't want a cliffhanger, and that's what dropped it from a 5 to a 4.5 for me.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
Fair enough.
Gun Lauger says, I'm meeting Pierce Brown for the 3rd time next weekend at the local Comic-Con. He's always so cool and willing to take the time to ask a few questions while signing stuff. Report back. We'd love to hear what questions you ask and what answers you get. We will be doing a Q&A with Pierce Brown this time next week. Well, 5 p.m. PT. Pop it in your calendars. Set your alerts and alarms. If you're a book club member, you get to ask a question. We put them all in a Google Doc, and should that kind of question come up in the conversation, I will make sure it gets the answer. So yeah, it's worth becoming a member. Come June, I think, right, Tess? We're going to be changing up the tiers a little bit to tailor for how you like to enjoy your book clubs. June 1st. So get mentally, physically, emotionally prepared for that one. I'm basically acknowledging June 1st with a D. Thank you, KPDubbs. Yes, sounds the same. June. It's just a slight difference. You can hear it, it's like a DY. It's like a do you hear it? The D in it? June. And then June is a softer J. Like June. You hear it? It's just a trained ear. Thank you so much, Son of Eagle, for dropping some bits as well. I really appreciate that. Oh, Adam Vision did resub, by the way, for 31 months. Thank you, sweet boy. Yeah, we're going to be changing some of the perks. We're going to be doing merch exclusive, so only you can get it. We've got a designer, so if you want to do a themed something, like a Maude's Book Club Howler edition, we have the power to do that with our designer. So merch members will be able to make that happen, which is freaking awesome. As long as there's a Zelda secretly in every single graphic, I'll be fine. Maybe she could be one of the wolves. Not a pelt, but like a wolf. Maybe she could be Sophocles, but like Sophocles is black instead. Anyway, there's beautiful things that we can be doing for that. If you're an introvert, I'm not going to make you talk. You know, I'm not going to put a camera on you. If you don't want to participate in that way, we've got a tier especially for you as well. We do regular giveaways in our Discord. I love giving you guys free shit. So I'm drumming up next month's already as well. Hopefully we get something good there. It takes a lot of work on the back end, but we're trying to make things happen. But if you're a member, you get double entries. Might even make one of the tiers triple entries. Yeah, we've got the power. And that's, after all, power is what we're all striving for. Ain't that right, Howlers? Oh, woo! Also, in the members, we can do sound effects. So if there is a catchphrase or a noise or a sound effect that you want the book club to have access to, maybe it's like flipping through a book. Maybe it's... Maybe it's Star Wars. Maybe whatever it is. Maybe it's a... or a yahoo, whatever. We can make that happen as well. So get in your suggestions over in members chat, because members have the power to decide that. I did not know that, Terry. Daisy Head, Jenya Saffin, and Shadow of Roses, Anthony Head's daughter. Wow. Nepotism. Nepo baby. Thanks so much. Let's raid another channel. Does anyone have a cool channel we can go towards? What is everyone feeling like? Do we want to get a little bit of...
Sage is online.
Oh, yeah? Great. Done.
Yeah.
Done. She's just chatting?
I goofed earlier, if I can apologize and make a correction.
What did you say wrong?
I goofed about the page numbers for Iron Gold and Dark Age real hard because I'm bad at number.
Oh.
The trade paperback edition of Iron Gold has 596 pages.
That's a bit different to 6 to 8, isn't it?
And then Dark Age has trade paperback edition again, 752. So it was between 600 and 800.
It was. You were technically not wrong.
Banana bread.
Fucking hell, Adam.
Adam Vision has entered the chat.
He just came in to play his song.
We just got dunked on hard by Banana Bread.
That's made my night. I want to.
Such an Adam thing to do.
I want to go out on that note. That was perfection. Guys, say hi to Not Sage. Oh, that's true, Kate.
Hi, Not Sage.
I will say hi to Not Sage, everyone. Drop some mod squads and books in her chat, and I'll see you all next Wednesday for Pierce Brown.